Today I'm going to speak about self-love, and I'm going to start by saying in Parshat Kedoshim, Haksav v'Hakabala is it's written that V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha ani Yud He Vav He. Yud He Vav He is the Tetragrammaton, and the portion the verse that I just quoted is from the 5 books of Moses, and we call it the Bible. And the other day I was reading a big book of science and spirit, and someone said, "Oh, you're reading the Bible," and it made me laugh. And the translation for V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha is, love your fellow. What is a fellow? It's an other, someone who's beside you, your companion. So, like, you gotta highlight the word fellow here. And, maybe you say friend, maybe you say, neighbor, and then ani, I am, Yud He Vav He, the one love, the all-abiding presence, the source, the creator and destroyer, whatever it is that you could put into words, feel free. But basically, in this portion, there's this verse that says, love your fellow as yourself. You can say yourself is one word. The love you have for your own being, you can have for another's. But actually, yourself is before your other. Love your other as yourself. Love this part of you that you don't want to be as much as you love the part of you that you want to be. And this is the only way to sort of share it with anyone else ever. And as I said, this interpreter, Haksav v'Hakabala, which literally means to write and to receive, as this like pen name, as this, ego that is gets beyond the ego that gets beyond the ego, the perspective that allows you to have a transcendent perspective. So it said, what is real love? And it's real unfeigned affection. So it's warmth without agenda. It's warmth for the sake of wanting to warm up whatever feels a little cold. It's always respectful treatment, so it's not contingent upon how they serve you or the negotiations of any kind of business or power dynamic. And in other words, a rich person is as respectable as a poor person. And your waiter is as respectable as a customer who's being waited on. Always seek best for them. So you wouldn't want them to only do well just when they're on your side. It's somebody who deserves the best, and you're willing to even the way you would in the short term for yourself, maybe give up on some pleasures so you could have long-term satisfaction. You'd want that for them as well. For example, if you know that there's a business deal where they're going to get screwed over, you'll tell them. Join in their pain. So the heart has to send grief out. When we don't get our way with extreme disappointment, for example, loss, for example, change. This could be a job, this could be a marriage, a child. And feeling what it's like to go through loss and disappointment with them. To join in and say, I know what it's like and you're not alone, and nothing you're doing is crazy, and nothing you're doing makes no sense, and nothing you're doing is inappropriate. There's no specific way to grieve. I feel you. I know what it feels like to grieve. And greeting with friendliness is, just because you're in a bad mood, you recognize it's not their fault. It's not that they're moving too slow to move the object out of the driveway, for example. It's that you yourself may not feel like you're a friend to anyone. So in that moment, let them be your healing. Greet them with friendliness. Remember, this is somebody who deserves to be said hi to. Just because something feels not perfect doesn't mean they don't deserve a friend. Give benefit of the doubt. And this is a big one. When you hear that they said something and then it caused problems between, you and some other person, you have to give benefit of the doubt and trust they might not have said it the way it was taken out of context. Many times you might give an opinion and, somebody else thinks it's a rumor. They think you're talking about somebody for sure, and then they talk about it to somebody else. And that person kind of thinks what you said is the truth, but actually they have even deeper opinion about what you might have spoken factually, and it becomes actually like gossip. And then the next person says, I always knew this, and then they added things that they kind of like sort of because they wanted to be in on it, and then the next one, and actually it could create a monster. So giving benefit of the doubt is a way of protecting people, our fellows, from even the moments where we're not necessarily out of love or in love, or we're just not really focused too much on the details, but it could get out of our hands and it could go take its own momentum and hurt them badly. Then there is assistance. So this is like assisting physically, like even with not such difficult matters, but also with small or moderate loans, gifts. It says, let's say they just need a cup of sugar, like in the olden days that we used to remember. Anyone who's been alive long enough, I'm only 31, but there are people in their 60s or 80s who could really talk more about this. But I grew up with this idea, and it was like without even thinking, you just give a cup of oil or a cup of sugar, and it wasn't a big deal. I know, the neighbor would babysit the kids, or like the family friend would, drop in to see, if anyone wanted the stuffed little toys that she got, or so it's kind of like to give. Just for the sake of giving, to knit a little sweater for a new baby of someone because you care about them, but also being ready. So not just actually assisting, but and not just in difficult matters, but how much more so in difficult matters, and how much more so to be ready when they actually ask. So it's like, I regret it, but there was somebody who asked me, can you help me move all my stuff in from the rain? And I said, I just can't do it, but here's $20. Ask someone to do it. It's less than an hour's work, and I'm sure they'll do it, and I feel bad about it, but that's how it is sometimes. So I the best I could do when they asked was to give that. But another time this person asked me to go get them cigarettes, and I said I can't, but I gave them money for it. So it's like the best that we could do in that moment, to love someone as ourselves. And finally, not thinking of yourself as superior. It might seem very convenient at times to think we know what's best for others, and that like if they would follow our advice, they'd be happier. But the truth is, to love them is to know that they have to be the best version of their self, not who you think they should be. And I'm going to speak about for myself now, what are some issues with me with love, getting into the love. And it's because I don't always give myself permission to slow down or feel like I belong, even when I have a lot of pain and tightness. I don't love my pain very much, and I'm working on it. I'm speaking now, I'm taking this deeper and talking about a personal practice, but you're welcome to apply it to anything in your own life. And I have a lot of anxiety that I deny, and then it comes up as stomach issues, neck issues, and heavy pelvis and hips. The stomach and the pelvis and hips is all kind of related. It's sort of the core, and it's like the pit in the stomach, and it's also like, in my neck, it's kind of like my shoulders, my upper arms, all of that. And you might call this like the chakras. It's like their drained energy, the wheel, the energy wheel of my lower heart, or my upper heart, you might say, which is the throat, and then the solar plexus or the navel chakras. And I think about ways in which I try to help it. So, for example, I might get my nose into a book to distract myself, but I end up sometimes with more neck pain, or I might be on my phone a lot, and then I end up with like even more pain, or I end up eating too much, and I end up with more pain, because I'm trying to fill up this pit. Or I might, or I'm too anxious to fill it up, so I'm thinking, oh, maybe I have sex, which I don't fill up something that way. And this is actually, obviously, me talking about in the past, not obviously, but like, I don't actually engage with all of these currently, but they're tactics I use to dodge this anxiety. And I'm getting better at this, which means it's still subtle, the anxiety still gets denied, but actually I'm learning how to not necessarily act it out. So, for example, I gave sex as an example. It used to be a way that I would want to get filled up with that pit of my stomach, which was this anxiety, the drain. This energy just keeps getting lost. And so I tried some tapping. We do, even though I have this pain, I looked into my pain. Even though I have this pain, I deeply accept myself. Even though I have this pit in my stomach, for example. I'll go through one round, and we do it 3 times. So even though I have this pain in my stomach. And you can use tapping for environment, physical cravings. I actually recently am enjoying more tapping. So you can use, if you have pain, if you have, you could use details, whatever feels good. And exactly where it is, if it's moving, right here, you go and you make the connection and you accept it. Or you do the other hand. Even though I have this pain, this heaviness in my shoulder blades, and this tightness in my low back because of the front parts of me trying to get more and more in my stomach and my neck, I deeply and totally accept myself. I still belong, even though I have this pain, and it prevents me from breathing, and it moves around and I can't quite catch it. I still deeply accept myself. Even though I have many ways that I cope with my pain and the tension, which do not serve me, I still deeply and completely accept myself. And then you move to the top of the head. This pain, this pit in my stomach, and you continue describing it as you go into the inner eyebrow. This tension, this weight on me. Then you go to the outside. This pressure, this clenching. This dissatisfaction, and you go under the eye, this dissatisfaction, this fear that it's not going to end, feeling cut off, this not lubricated, not spongy, this tight coldness in certain parts of me, in my stomach, in my neck, just won't relieve. And you go under the lips. It was under the nose, in the middle, and then under the lips. Even though my pelvis feels heavy, this pain in my this pelvis pain heavy, stomach pain heavy, neck pain heavy, throat. Even though my heart sometimes has such trouble opening, and so it sends up pain, it sends down pain, and outsources. And it's like one place here, but I just do it all together. And then you go in the armpit. Even though this pain can move all the way up to my eyes, all the way up to my feet, all the way down to my feet. Even though I feel it. And at the end, it said to take a small sip of water. And you do it 3 rounds, so I'm going to do it one more time. This time I'm going to go a little deeper. I'm going to speak about feeling rushed, feeling hopeless. And then I'm going to go into like the emotions now. So I'm going to use this side. Even though I have hopelessness and it makes me want to eat and smoke, because I feel empty, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I want that inner comfort because I feel unsafe inside of me, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I want warmth because I feel lonely inside, in my heart, I deeply and completely accept myself. Feeling unsupported and weak, feeling a lack of generosity, feeling shame, wanting rest, feeling pain. Oops, I went first here, but okay. Pain, wanting rest, feeling there's nothing I can trust, feeling despair. Recognizing the rush. Feeling this rush, feeling this rush, feeling this rush. Feeling impatience, feeling impatience. Feeling hopeless, feeling hopeless. And now I'm going to do a 3rd round. And even though I want to control the outcome, instead of practicing my hope, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though It's hard to be the source of love for myself. I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel I have to prove something about my lovability, I deeply and completely accept myself. Feeling shame about feeling hopeless. Feeling lonely because I'm weak. Feeling pain that I'm not allowed to rest. Feeling, what do I trust? What do I trust? Rushing, looking. Feeling cold, feeling lonely, cut off. Feeling empty, craving generosity. Feeling despair, hopeless, rushing, despair, hopeless, rushing, clenching. Feeling impatience. So that's tapping. And that's how we run through our specific areas where we don't feel love. And I'm going to now read, I have a poem from 2020 and a poem from 2021 when I felt, and they're written for two different men. So 1 year 2020 and 1 year 2021. But this is moments where I was able to love the other person in the sense